12 teams are in the starting blocks. It's the race to Old Trafford for the grand final in October. Rugby League is back. Yes, we're ready to do it all over again, and we're here at this fabulous venue, the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. And we're here not just to launch a men's game, we're here to launch the women's and the wheelchair too, because Rugby League is the most inclusive sport in the world. Yes, during the next hour we have some very special guests. We're going to hear from the new St Helens head coach, Paul Wellens. We're going to hear from the man of steel, Brodie Croft, who's just signed an 8-year contract. We're going to hear from a World Cup winner. But for the next hour, I'm going to be joined by Paul Sculthorpe, 4-time grand final winner. Scully, how excited are you for the start of the new season?
Well, very, Mark. I'm, can't wait for the season to start, and I think being here today and seeing everybody makes it that bit more real as well. So, roll on the next couple of weeks.
And we'll talk about St Helens in detail with you, but your old club, 4 years on the bounce, going for a magical 5. The team to beat.
They are the team to beat, and I think you look at the squads. The St Helens squad has not really changed. There's nobody new come in. There's nobody left. The only difference is obviously Paul Wellens. There's a lot of responsibility on Paul, but I know the man well, and I know he's certainly up for the job. So, yeah, excited to see how our Saints do this year.
Plenty of Saints chat coming up. It's been a brilliant launch here at the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. All the coaches, all the players, all the media as well. But it has been a sad occasion as well, because this week we lost Ian Laybourne, Press Association journalist for many, many years. Really decent bloke as well. Scully, he was an outstanding journalist, but a really nice fella.
He was, he was an outstanding journalist and more to the point, a lovely man. It's days like today where you're always in Ian's company, and I've done numerous interviews with him over the years, and he knew the game inside out, and it was such a shock, to hear of his passing. So, thoughts with his family and friends.
He only just retired in December, and that was his retirement due, and honestly, it feels like just 2 minutes ago we were all celebrating his retirement. Our thoughts go to his friends, family and colleagues. Ian Laybourne. Let's start with the champions, St Helens. They are not here. They did join in the launch by Zoom. We heard from James Roby, who's going round again, and the new coach, Paul Wellens, as they prepare for their World Club Challenge against the Penrith Panthers.
Well, as baptisms of fire go in head coach jobs, World Club Challenge away in Australia is probably right up there.
Yes, certainly is. It's certainly a huge challenge for us as a club, and obviously myself taking over here as head coach. But it's a challenge that we're really looking forward to, and it's a challenge I think this playing group have earned through what they've achieved, not just last year, but in the years previous. And they've missed out on a number of opportunities to play in a World Club Challenge with COVID and different things. So to get this chance this year and get the chance to do it down under is great for the club, and one that we're really looking forward to.
You've obviously been part of this club for a long time. You've been with this group all the way through, from when Justin took over and into Christian's period as well. So even though it is a big change in terms of you taking over as head coach, did it feel quite seamless?
Yeah, it's been quite comfortable. Obviously, it's a different challenge being a head coach, and you deal with a lot of different things that you probably wouldn't deal with being an assistant. But knowing the playing group and understanding the personalities within that playing group is certainly, a big help. And having played alongside a lot of these players that are now coach, we've had a quite a close relationship for a number of years now, so we can have those real open and honest conversations, which are needed to have, which are needed to have at times. So yeah, it's different, but one that, you know, I'm really excited about and really enjoying.
This team's won 4 in a row, but for obvious reasons there's only been one World Club challenge in that time. It would have been an injustice, wouldn't it, if this group hadn't had another crack at the Australian champions at some point?
Yeah, I think so. You know, what they've achieved in terms of, you know, the Super League title in the last few years, like I said, no team has ever done what this group has. So, you know, in itself it would have been an injustice, but to get that opportunity now, it's something that I'm delighted for, because the players deserve it, and that's what's most important, is that the playing group get what they deserve off the back of their efforts in the previous years.
So we heard from Paul Wellens out in Australia preparing for the World Club Challenge. Right then, your old teammate and a mate as well, is Paul Wellens the right man?
He is the right man, but 100,000,000% the right man. You know, he's served his apprenticeship, he's worked under some fabulous coaches both at club and country, and he deserves his opportunity. Very much looking forward to it, and what a baptism of fire. You know, your first game over in Australia against the double NRL premiers.
And you obviously must approve of this promoting from within, because
Yes.
he lives and breathes the club, well, like you do.
You know, he is Mr. St Helens. You know, he knows the club inside out. But anyone who knows Paul, both as a player and as a coach, why would you want anybody else? You know, his man management, his people skills, you know, which are the best traits of the best coaches. And as I say, he's earned his stripes, and you know, I'm made up for Wello, because he's such a knowledgeable person, but you know, a great fella to boot as well.
How much is the pressure? Because obviously St Helens have won it 4 years on the bounce, which is a record. Christian Wolf had done an outstanding job just in Holbrook before as well. How much pressure is there on Paul Wellens, and can he cope with it?
He can certainly cope with it, you know, and Paul won't be fazed by that. He'll be looking at the processes about, you know, he's not in control of what people say about him. What he's in control of is his team, how they prepare, you know, and how they respond. He's an ultimate winner. And I say he's earned the right to be there. So, you know, really looking forward to seeing how he goes. There is obvious pressure, because they have won 4 years in a row, and the only difference this year from last year is the head coach's role. But you know, he's got the respect of the players. His knowledge is second to none. So yeah, I think for me, Saints are favourite going into this, but you know, there's other teams to talk about as well, and you know, Wigan have strengthened, Leeds have strengthened, Warrington have strengthened. So you know, I think we're set for a fabulous year.
Yeah, St Helens are 2-1 favourites to win the grand final. Just a word on someone you know very well as well. James Roby's decided to go around again. 37, I'm told. Is he still going to be playing when he's 67?
Oh, knowing James Roby, yeah. What a phenomenal career he's had and continues to have. And that's the thing with James. You know, we all know about his presence within the dressing room and what kind of, you know, person he is. But he's still doing the business on the field, and that's the biggest thing. I think he recognised that. Certainly, the club recognised that in extending his contract. And I think just having James in and around them players, and you know, we've seen him on VT before talking about the younger players through the squad, how much they'll develop for being in and around his presence. But he's still doing the business as well. And you know, you look at 37, the amount of games that he's played. You know, he's in on offence. He touches the ball more than anybody else, and he's still leading the tackle count. So, you know, he's not somebody who stood out on the wing who can get through games by not taking too much contact. He's in the mix week in, week out.
He first made his debut in 2004. Let's hear from James Roby.
I'm thankful I made the right decision, I think. So yeah, all geared up for this one. Obviously will be my last one, definitely, I think. I've got a few too many kind of signs now, and I know myself, within myself, that you know what my body's capable of, and obviously mentally as well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I want it to obviously be hopefully another successful year for us at St Helens, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Is the opportunity to make history and do a fifth in a row one of the things that made you think, no, I need to do this again?
Definitely, yeah. I think obviously we're enjoying a great period of success for the club at the moment, and You know, I've enjoyed being a part of that and enjoyed being a part of the team and the kind of the culture and everything we've got going at St Helens at the moment. So it makes it that little bit more difficult to step away when it's going so well. So yeah, I want to obviously be a part of it one more year and hopefully be a part of lifting a couple more trophies, and you know, and that is obviously the ultimate aim, to go 5 in a row.
Big change at the top, of course, with Christian heading back to Australia. Wello coming in, obviously you'll know him very well. Is he approaching coaching the same way that he approached playing?
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's obviously took to the role fantastically. He's been an assistant for a good number of years, I think 7 years, so he understands what he's doing, he knows what he's about, and the thing with Paul Wellens is he cares about the club, and you can see that in the way he delivers his messages and the way he coaches us as a team. And like you say, there's a little bit of a challenge there in terms of he's been a teammate before he's been a coach, if you like, for a few of the lads, so you know, it's a bit of a kind of a change in that respect, but he's touched the role fantastic. He's settled in, he looks really comfortable, he knows what he's doing, he knows what the game's about, and most importantly he knows our culture better than anybody at St Helens, so he's a driving force in that respect, and I think he'll do really well.
James Robbie, right, let's talk World Club Challenge. First of all, 2007 Brisbane Broncos, you were man of the match and scored. Do you want to talk about that game first?
There's some great memories in the World Club Challenge. Obviously, we beat Brisbane in 2001 as well. I've been on the back end of a couple of good hidings as well, you know, for Melbourne and Sydney Roosters as well. Always great games, you know. It's the British best against the Australian best, and for me, you know,
it's great to have it back, isn't it?
It's of course it is. You know, it's what people want to see. Australia v England is you know, the pinnacle of the game, and this is the pinnacle at club level, and it's great, you know, to challenge yourself against, you know, the premiers of you know, what they say is the best competition in the world. So I'm really looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to the game.
Is it one of your career highlights, winning it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think whenever you beat Australia, I've been lucky to do that at club level or at international level. You know, and they do set the standard. So I think, you know, Saints are in for a tough game. You know, Penrith have been outstanding for a number of years and are the best team in the NRL. It'd be interesting to see the game, obviously, both, you know, being at the start of the season, you know, not much rugby played up until this game, and yeah, just really looking forward to it.
What kind of preparation is a World Club Challenge for Saints? I've been out, obviously, in Australia for a couple of weeks. What kind of preparation is it for the start of a Super League season? Good or bad, do you think?
It can, yeah, because you want to obviously peak and be match fit, be match sharp for that World Club Challenge, but also then it's a long season, you know, where you other teams will be preparing for Super League, you know, that couple of weeks later, or certainly peaking throughout that year, whereas Saints know that they've got to be at their best to beat Penrith.
Can they do it?
So the focus is different. We've done it, and we've gone on and won Super League, you know, the following year. So certainly they can do it. It's all about that 80 minutes, and it's our best against their best.
Right, this is going to be the most stupid question I'm going to ask in the next hour. Can Saints win the grand final again?
They can. You know, undoubtedly they can. I think they're the best team. I think they're the strongest team, and I think Paul Wellens is more than up for the job that he's taken on this year. So for me, Saints are the favourites, but I think it could be the toughest one yet.
Well, there's 11 teams looking to stop them. We're still going to hear from Darryl Powell. We're going to hear from the Wigan coach, Matty Peet, as well. But let's start with the Wigan camp and hear from one of their star men, it's Jay Field.
Yeah, obviously I just want to try and, same as last year, just want to try and play every game and be available for every game, and yeah, hopefully my form can emulate this year.
Silverware last season, I guess that's whet the appetite for everyone at Wigan to go on and win more.
Yeah, I think obviously every team sets out to win those sorts of things. You want to be in those finals, Challenge Cup finals, and at Old Trafford. So, yeah, hopefully we can go one better this year.
And obviously you managed to dovetail with Bevan French in that team last year. You must be really exciting being part of a back line that straight across has got just so much strike for it. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, we had a lot of joy last year, and I think we both said we enjoyed playing with each other, and we've got a few new additions in there this year in the centres as well. So, yeah, hopefully we can all click and score a few tries.
You obviously made big progress last season under Matty Peet. Do you feel that you're kind of continuing to make that progress in the off-season so that you can have a crack at the top of the league and things like grand finals?
Obviously last year was no coincidence, and I think we've all said how much we enjoyed playing for Matty and underneath him, and hopefully this year's no different.
Jay Field, and I'm delighted to say we're joined by Jay Field's boss, Matty Peat. Matty, thanks for joining us. Could we just touch on last season first of all? Obviously, you got the trophy in the first year of charge, didn't you, with the Challenge Cup?
We did, and it was a great experience. Very unique, went to Tottenham, and it felt fitting for the club, particularly in the club's 150th year anniversary and the history the club's got with that trophy. I think it was a special one for us, but the joy of that success doesn't last long, and it's more the pain of the end of the season that I consider when I look back on last year. But you're right, you do see photos and it brings back fond memories.
How gutted were you after that semi-final defeat then to Leeds?
More gutted than I thought I was going to be, to be honest. I probably hadn't contemplated defeat that week, and that's no disrespect to Leeds. I think we was on a bit of a roll. We were undefeated at home, and it was a shock to the system, and all credit to Leeds. They did a great job that evening, and I wasn't ready for the season to end in that. I just wanted to carry on working with the group. Nothing about particularly about the grand final. We just was ready to keep working together and keep trying to improve as a team. So yeah, we're determined, we're motivated, and but last season didn't finish the way we wanted.
But you must have felt, this was your first year in charge, you must have felt we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think foundations were laid. I think that's the best way to put it. I think if I'm honest, if someone would have offered me that at the beginning of the year as a start for the group and new staff in place, I think we'd have had to take it, but it still doesn't make it fun to finish that way. And what I do know is the club as a whole is going in the right direction on and off the field, and it's about keep taking steps forward, but we can't take too long to get where we need to be.
Scully, we saw a much improved Wigan last year, didn't we, under Matty?
Yeah, very much.
Better to watch as well.
I think obviously Matt had taken the job, and a lot of the focus seemed to be on obviously building that culture and that environment at Wigan. I was at the semi-final win when you beat St Helens, obviously a massive win for you, and then to go on and win the Challenge Cup in your first year. You obviously see what St Helens do. I know you, Matty. You live and breathe Wigan Rugby League. How do Wigan go one better this year in Super League? What things have you pinpointed that you can beat the best of St Helens, the best of Leeds, the best of Warrington?
Yeah, I think there's technical things we can improve, and tactical things. There's a few areas of the games that we can certainly tighten up. But I think on the whole, the focus and the approach has to be having those big games in your mind the whole way through the season. So on reflection, there might have been times in the year where games were becoming comfortable. Other teams were coming to the DW with lots of injuries, and we weren't getting that intense game week to week, and potentially we let some of our standards slip, and we let the players and the staff lose a little bit of accountability, if I'm honest, and that can catch up on you, even if it's just one moment in a big game. So we've got to the context of our performances has to be irrelevant. It's got to be about our standards, the actions that the actions that win big games, and just being relentless with them.
Is it making your job more difficult? What's going on at Saints? I mean, they're going for 5, won 4 on the bounce. Is that making your job more difficult?
No. It's irrelevant, really. It gets mentioned a lot, and I do genuinely mean it when I say that it's the perfect time to be a Wigan coach, and I would hate to be a Wigan coach if Saints weren't at least competing and right at the top, and that's the benchmark. I don't shy away from the admiration I have from the way they've done it. I think you've got to applaud the way that they've developed their own players. The players, they don't get caught up in their own success. I like the way they go about the business, and there's a lot of things in there that when Wigan's at its best that we do as well. So we want to beat them at their own game, but it's a mutual respect, I think.
As a final question, and going into, obviously you're so associated with Wigan now, but going into your second season as head coach, what have you learnt?
Oh, I've learnt so much. A lot of the nitty gritty, really, like coming to events like this, managing my own time with the extra expectations. I've learned that everyone in the building and everyone in the club wants the best of me on a daily basis, so I have to be prepared for that, make more time for people. I've learned that how you deal with players that aren't in the team as well is important, which I knew before.
Is that
but
one of the hardest bits of the job?
It is, yeah. It's one of the parts I take the most pride in, getting that right. Name the team as early as we can, have those conversations, be as open and honest, and then help that player during the week to get better at the areas that he needs to. So,
have you found your job, your coaching philosophies as head coach of the first team have changed from? Obviously, we've known each other a long time, and you know, when you're head of youth or academy and a very hard taskmaster, kind of obviously change away from that sort of coaching when you're dealing with the better players. Is it more about man management?
I think the role demands a different kind of coach. I think what you're saying, Scully. I think when you're preparing someone to come through 16, 17, 18 to get ready for first team, you've got to shock them. You've got to get them as hardened as you can, ready to go into an environment with a head coach like Michael Maguire or Sean Wayne, playing against blokes. So it's got to be, it's almost like entering the army and getting ready for a war, to be honest. So there's that. I think once a player comes into the first team environment, they're ready, they've been through that school, and you can treat them a little bit different.
Which do you prefer?
I prefer, I think I can be more myself now. I think before I was preparing players for someone else's regime, where now ultimately I set the way we train, the way we play. So I've got more ownership. That head of youth job and working in academy is such a demanding job. I feel like it's an underrated role, the expectation that's put on you 24/7 across all the different age groups, and I think it was that job that prepared me best for head coach.
Matty, thanks for your time. Thanks for what you've done at the launch as well. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Right,
Thanks
we're
a lot.
going to
Cheers,
cross the Pennines now and hear from Cruz Leeming.
I just want to fly under the radar, get my job done this year, but I've got a lot of fire in my belly after what happened, like we mentioned. There's a lot for me to go at this year, and there's no more extra motivation that's needed for me to do it. So yeah, I'd just like to fly under the radar, get my job done, but there's a lot of fire in my belly this year, and hopefully I have a big season.
It was obviously a massive roller coaster last season for you guys, but you must take so much belief from the way that you finished the last 3 or 4 months of that year once Rowan came in.
Yeah, I think Rowan's come in and been fantastic for us and bought into the way that Leeds Rhinos play. I feel like coaches have come in before with different philosophies, which is fine, but not probably captured the way that Leeds Rhinos are as a team and how they play. And for them to come in and try and do a style that suits Leeds Rhinos might not suit them as a coach, and it'd be unfair for them to come in and try and do that. Whereas I think it runs through Rowan's blood, the way that he wants to play and train. He loves the trick shots, he loves throwing the ball around, he loves this new, like, refreshing spectacle of rugby. He doesn't just want to play and win, he wants to put on a spectacle for the fans, and I think that's what Leeds Rhinos have done for years, and that's what they've been known for. So it's not like he's had to come in and alter his beliefs and the way he coaches to suit Leeds Rhinos. He just suits Leeds Rhinos.
Cruz Leeming there. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Cruz's boss, Rohan Smith. Rohan, thanks for joining us. First of all, proper pre-season under your belt this time. How's things?
Yeah, it's been a good pre-season. Bit of a staggered start with the late finish in the middle of October. A bunch of our senior players needed some time off, but we started early November with the young kids and got them going, and they sort of set the tone for the pre-season. It's been enjoyable. It's been tough. We've challenged them in lots of different ways, but we feel we're in good condition to get the season started.
Are you enjoying life at Leeds?
Yeah, I love Leeds. Leeds is a great city, and great club to work for, great people that run the club, and yeah, just fortunate enough to be part of it.
And Scully, let's embarrass him. Leeds were 11th when he took over. No chance of getting to a grand final. They finished 5th and managed to get themselves to a grand final.
Yeah, it was a bit of an unbelievable roller coaster, right? I just said it there off camera as well. You know, week after week, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And do you find it a kind of different pressure this year going into, into a season on a level playing field with everybody else, and a lot of expectancy on Leeds this year. Obviously, from when you come in and took the job, where Leeds were, the kind of position that they were in at the time. Obviously now, very much fancied for success this year.
Yeah, it's a tough question, that one, because I think growing up around coaching, with my family being in the business and whatnot as well, like your whole family life is based around winning, and mum and dad were always happier when we were kids when that dad had to win on the weekend, and I think I've kind of grown up like that. For my own family and the people around me, it's about winning. I know the expectation of the club and the fans is there as well. There's no hiding from that. But the pressure I sort of put on myself to win is not really different being at Leeds, or my last game before I came to Leeds was playing against Ipswich, coaching North Devils in front of 300 people. Like that day, I was into it, and it was as important to me as it was winning at Old Trafford, So
there's a lot of the focus, obviously, what your day-to-day job, but just about obviously, controlling the things that you can control about Leeds. Matty Pete said it before. We're not. It's really irrelevant what other teams are doing, or the success that they've had. Saints winning it for 4 years is irrelevant to your clubs. You're in control of what you do, and all the focus is how Leeds come out.
Yeah, talking about the sort of week-to-week mentality and just controlling what we can, and it's not always the most exciting comments for the media, but that's just how it has to be. If we look too far in the distance, we're going to miss what's happening here right now. And I've got no idea what St Helens have been doing all pre-season, so they might have gone to another level that we don't even know yet. So,
do you refer to any other clubs of standards or things that you've pinpointed that Leeds have got a bit better at this year? Do you refer to other teams, or what are the things that you have highlighted that?
Yeah, I think acknowledging what other teams are good at, and then working out whether you should follow that because you have the right group, or if it's something that you believe in. I think there's no problem. We all copy each other in some ways, but also I think in our game there's a lot of copycat sort of process around it. Oh, they're doing that, we better do that, but it doesn't always work like that. It's got to be right for your group and your beliefs and your your culture. But we certainly want to be more consistent with what we want to do. Even at the back end of last year, we had some pretty ordinary performances with possession, but we're trying to get that balance of moving the ball and using it, but also being able to just roll our sleeves up and get dirty as well. So that's definitely one area we want to be stronger at. Getting forward and being defensively strong, we showed at the back end of the season that we could do that, but probably taking that to another level is something we need to do as well.
Yeah.
Do you look back at last season in pride, though, from when you took over? I mean, there were some big performances. That performance at Catalan, when you knocked them out, the semi-final at Wigan to knock them out. You got to the grand final. All right, you lost to Saints, but do you look back with some pride?
Oh, certainly. I'm getting some goosebumps there just thinking of those moments. It's they're special. That's why you do. That's why you're involved in sport, to be able to risk big, but to win big. And we did that a couple of times, but on the big day we didn't quite get there. And you've got to be willing to feel that pain as well to be able to be in the fight. You've got to be able to handle losing as well. So a lot of pride and a bit of hurt too.
Final question: what's success for Leeds this year then?
Success is there competing on the big days for the title. To do that, we've got to be good each week to give ourselves a chance of being there. But there's no shying away from the fact we want to be there winning.
Well, thanks for joining us. Best of luck for the season. Thanks for what you've done at the launch as well. It's greatly appreciated. And
Pleasure,
the best
thank
of
you.
luck. Right, let's turn our attention to the team who Leeds knocked out last year, the Catalans Dragons.
Really excited for the year ahead. Pre-season's a tough time for all players, and the focus is round one. So excited now we're back in training.
In terms of what Catalans are aiming to achieve this year, you had that grand final appearance a couple of years ago, of course. Is that on the radar again?
Yeah, silverware, the same as every top team wants. It's silverware, and that's where we want to put ourselves. We've been in the top four for the last few years now. final appearances and semi-finals, but still no silverware. So yeah, we want to go the next step.
A few personnel changes over the off-season for Catalans. Are you feeling like this is a squad that has something special in it?
Yeah, I think so. We've got a lot of talent. Last year I feel like we undersold ourselves a little bit, and you know there's been some changes and some out and some in, but I think the squad that we've got is well capable of going doing some good stuff this year.
When you look at the competition as a whole, I think previously, you know, it's probably been 7 or 8 teams maybe that were trying to squeeze into that 6, but this year it feels like it's probably 10, maybe more teams that will all fancy you crack at the playoffs. Does that competitiveness help in some respects? Because obviously you guys have to be at your best all the time.
Yeah, I think the more teams that we've got in the league that are capable of being right at the top is better for everyone, better for the competition. You become a better team and a better player playing against the best. So we want the standard to raise in Super League year on year, and hopefully this year it will.
Lewis talking to Sam Tonkins there. We'll talk about Catalans in a moment. You might have noticed we've been joined by a World Cup winner in James Simpson. We'll be talking about wheelchair rugby in a moment. And we've got the 3 trophies, because we're not just launching the men's game, we are launching the women's game and the wheelchair game as well. And there's a brand new trophy for the wheelchair game. James, thanks for joining us. First of all, you've decided to retire. Is that because you're too old?
Far from it. No, we were just saying I need to be challenged. I was a soldier for 10 years. I've just finished playing for 10 years, and during those last few years of my career I won the treble, I won the Challenge Cup, beat Catalan first time it's been done, won a World Cup at the end. So for me it's retiring from playing on the biggest high I could really, and it's the best time to do it, moving to the coaching where I'm still really hungry for it, where there's fresh challenges, and it's really exciting for me. I've been in the role a month and I'm already doing amazing things, talking at different wheelchair sports, speaking to other coaches for advice from them within wheelchair and the running game. So I'm treating it like I'm attacking it like I did in the army, like I did when I was playing. You know, I'm not retired. I've just retired from playing. I'm still very much in rugby league.
I follow you on Twitter. You're enjoying coaching, aren't you?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And
you got a huge smile on your face.
Yeah, I've player coached for 2 years, which was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, kind of coaching and playing. But now coaching, I've got the elite players, the players who've played in World Cups, the players who are going to be competing for trophies. But just as importantly, I've got the players now who are in the 3rd week of playing wheelchair rugby league, and can see them getting better every week. And they're at the start of their journey where they could eventually go on to play internationally, play in finals, play in front of TV cameras and play for trophies. So I've got both ends of the scale and I love it. I love that challenge, but I love the new players coming in as well and impacting them, and hopefully they can go on the journey I did over that decade I played.
I tell you what I want to know. When you wake up the morning after becoming a world champion, what is it like waking up in the morning, opening your eyes and thinking, I'm a World Cup winner?
I think it's the hangover hits you first.
Did you wake up or did you go to sleep?
Well, I think we were still sat in the hotel reception about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then a few hours kip, and then we were down to Old Trafford. But
I bought you a drink, if you can remember.
Yeah, well, some of it's quite hazy, but yeah, no, it was fantastic, and that dedication, that hard work, and everything I did for 10 years, and I mean everything, the meals, the sacrifices, the training, it makes it all worth it when you're there. And at that moment we were on the pitch at Old Trafford with the Kangaroos, with the Jillaroos and us, and we were walking around the pitch and thousands of people there cheering and clapping, and it makes it all worth it, everything, every second worth it.
Did you ever think that wheelchair rugby would get the response that it got within that World Cup? It was amazing. It took the world by storm, and you know, you see people tweeting, you know, celebrities about, you know, what they've seen, and you know, the respect for you guys.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate to see it up close, and I think you're crazy, you're lunatics, all of you. But you know, the game was just, it was sensational, wasn't it?
It's fantastic. It was fantastic, and I've been in the game long enough to go from the sports halls where there were 6 teams and no disabled bathrooms in some of these old sports halls, to competing on these huge arenas fully designed for people in wheelchairs, for athletes in wheelchairs, with huge crowds screaming there, and you can't hear you can't hear what's going on, because what used to be an easy conversation is now got thousands of people behind you screaming. And it's amazing to see the game go from the shadows to we had more games televised last year than we've had. The players, although they're all very humble, they deserve it. after working so hard behind the scenes to finally get this level of recognition, and a lot of them won't say it, but they deserve this rewarded for their commitment, and it's finally showing now on the level they're on.
I was at that final, and it was a privilege to be at that final. What was the atmosphere like being a player in that final? Because it was so loud in the Manchester Centre, wasn't it?
We always knew it was going to be 2 or 4 points. Big game against France, it's 2 or 4 points either way. It's either an unconverted try or it's a penalty. And you saw in that last 15 minutes, it was penalty, kick for 2. They get a penalty for kick for 2. So the whole way through, we never panicked. We knew it was going to be a close game, and we knew it would come down to those dying moments. So even that 77th minute where Tom goes in and scores, we knew we still had that in us. We knew it was going to come down to those last few minutes. And we were on the sideline, and I had my jumper on, and Tom scored. We kick, 2 minutes left. So you start doing the maths. Got 6 tackle set, just ride it out and finish it. And I started unzipping my jacket to get on to cheer, and I had Joe next to me and he went, zip your jacket back up. It's like, don't jinx this. I was like, yeah, you're right. And I started zipping it back up just for that 30-second period. But the game was phenomenal, and all the players spent hour and a half, 2 hours afterwards just engaging with the fans, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was such a turning point for this game.
And let's just talk about domestic game very, very quickly. You were in that Leeds team that lost out to Halifax, but you beat the Catalans to become Challenge Cup winners.
First time Catalans had been beaten since 2017, 2018, yeah. And for us, it was a bit of a World Cup challenge. We wanted to prove that wheelchair rugby league in England, English wheelchair rugby league, is a force to be reckoned with, and they can't just come over here and take trophies off us. So yeah, that was an absolutely amazing game. Probably the hardest I've ever played. I finished that and slept for 36 hours, but absolutely fantastic game. The challenge, the grand final as well, live on TV, another huge game. We got pipped in the, we never thought we were going to lose. In the dying moments.
It was my first wheelchair game.
Yeah.
I loved it, and absolutely loved it.
We planned for an 80-minute game, and we started going behind, but we knew we were going to have a comeback. We knew we'd planned for this. And then in the last few minutes to go down by 4 points against the team which had some of the best players from Halifax, some of the best players of Catalan in it as well. So to get pipped in the last dying moments, it was we didn't win, but we were so proud of the effort, and I can't fault any of the players out there.
So you played similar for 10 years on the top level, now going into the coaching world.
Yeah.
What philosophies are you going to take from your career into your coaching career? Give me 2 things that are your main focus.
The community, and the team and the ethos behind the games. And at Leeds, we lost every game we played for 3 years. The same group of players we've got now lost every game, but that built us into a winning team. And I feel like we have that. I want that in every single one of our players, where we reward each other. When someone scores, we're all there high-fiving, we're helping each other, and I really want that community to be there, and I feel that's really important, and it's something we're really proud of, and the new players coming in are doing that as well. And the second one is effort. You know yourself, big games aren't won on fancy plays, they're won on effort. And when you're against it and you need someone to do something, you need to dig deep, it's the effort. That looking after each other, that teamwork and camaraderie, and then the effort, and I feel like they go quite close together as well.
James, best of luck with your coaching
Thank you
career.
very
Don't
much.
go anywhere for a moment now. I just want to ask one question about the running game, Scully. We heard from Sam Tompkins there. Obviously, the Catalans Dragons got to the grand final, and it was Leeds that knocked them out of the competition this year. Feels like a big season for Catalans Dragons.
Yeah, it does. It does. The biggest challenge for Catalan every year is consistency, isn't it? We know on their day they're capable of beating anybody. They've proven that. I think it's that consistency, and they'll be disappointed to go out the way they did. At the back end of last year. But they've got a lot of talent in that side. They've lost a couple of players, brought a few more players in. Obviously, lost the 2 big fellas to Warrington, Cassiano and Gil Dudson. But a lot of ability in that Catalan side, led by that man, obviously the England captain Sam Tompkins.
And the final question to you, James. It's about time that we launched the 3 games together, isn't it? The women's and the wheelchair. We did it in the World Cup. It's about time we did it for the Super League, isn't it? Being all together.
Yeah, it's rugby league is
because you're
so
part of the rugby league family as anyone else.
I think rugby league is the greatest sport out there, and I think it's so unique what we do: men's, women's, wheelchair, physical disability, learning disability, and it's such a unique thing that we should be proud of that, and we should push it out there and show these other sports. Look what we're doing. We're doing it all together, one big brand of rugby league, and I think we should be really proud of it.
Rugby league is the most inclusive sport going. We're now going to turn our attention to Wakefield. They've got a new coach, they've also got some new signings. Let's hear from one of them.
New colours for you, you looking forward to getting stuck in?
Yeah, I can't wait to start. We've got a game coming up next week, so looking forward to that.
What's pre-season been like so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Just getting around the boys, the new team for me, and just been getting to know everyone, learning all the new players and that. So it's been good. It's been good so far.
You're one of a fair few new faces at Wakefield. There's been a lot of change in the off-season. Does it feel like a positive place to be? Is everyone kind of ready to take on the task at hand?
Yeah, everyone's been welcoming, especially to me and a few of the new boys. And it's a new year and new signings, and there's a good young group at Wakefield, and hopefully we can take it out there or showcase what we've been learning during the off season and can build towards top 6 come end of the season. Yeah,
a lot of people will be wondering what to expect from Wakefield this year. Can you give us a little bit of insight as to the kind of things you've been working on and what we can expect from you?
Just to work hard, play the full 80 minutes. Training's been tough, so we've just been getting that mentality right of playing the full 80 minutes of rugby, and hopefully once the season starts, we can showcase what we've been going through.
It's been an up and down couple of years for the club, but have you got that top 6, those playoffs in your sight?
Yeah, I think every club's got the top 6 in their sights, and and it's no different for us. Last year Wakefield were towards the bottom end of that ladder there, but we're hoping for a big year this year, and hopefully we can shock a few clubs and impress our fans and everyone in the Super League.
That said, what would a successful year look like for Wakefield?
I think successful look would be just making the playoffs, top 6 for us.
Well, best of luck.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that's the view from me, Wakefield Trinity Camp. Scully, people are predicting a tough season for Wakefield.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is based on strength and depth. Obviously, great to see Mark Applegarth, get the job. He's a good friend of mine, Mark, and a very, very, very good coach. Made some shrewd signings. I think Kevin Proctor's one that stands out. He'll be looking to lead the group. I think the question for Wakefield, we know they can compete. They've proven it over the past few years. It's keeping injury free and trying to keep everybody healthy because they've not got the biggest squad.
Wakefield finished 10th last season. 2 places above were Hull KR. And I was looking at the Hull KR squad. I mean, Jordan Abdul, Mikey Lewis, Lachlan Coote. It's a good squad, isn't it?
They've got some fantastic
and they finished
players.
8th.
Yeah.
Which was disappointing from the season before.
Yeah, from the season before. But you look at some of them players, Mikey Lewis, the good young up and coming, players, and it's. I think they'll have a good season. They made some good signings, and build on the back of that. The likes of Mikey Lewis is that 1 year older, that 1 year more experienced, and I think he'll thrive this year.
So we're going to hear from Tony Smith, the former Hull KR coach, in a moment. Of course, he's gone to Hull, but let's get the views from the KR camp.
Like at this time of the year, all the boys are just, they can't wait for the games to come around. But we've got some fresh faces, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and positivity around the camp, and we just can't wait to get out there and get cracking.
Yeah, a lot of change at Rovers coming into this season. You confident that it's all bedded in nicely, and you're ready to go?
Yeah, I think we've made some great signings. Probably got a lot more depth this year, which is exciting. We had a lot of injuries last year, but I think we've got a lot more cover this year, and the guys we brought in are quality. So they're adding a lot to the squad, and they're of high quality, and the training's been sound. So we're really looking forward to showing what they can do for us this year.
And a new look to the coaching setup as well. You feel like you're adapting to what's being asked of you?
Yeah, it's been tough actually. It's a different approach with Willie coming from the NRL, but the boys have taken to it really well. We've done a lot of hard work, and I think we're in great shape. Pretty much like everyone this year, but like I said, we're adapting to new systems and a different style of play, and I think it's going to work for us. So we're really excited, for the season ahead.
Hey, you showed real glimpses of what you're capable of last season. You were obviously frustrated at times and with how it ended, but is consistency the key for you guys this year, to just making sure you get into that 6 and seeing where you go from there?
Yeah, I think so. We need to give ourselves the best chance. I think we really need to start the season well, get a few wins early on the board, and you nailed it on the head. It's about being consistent throughout the year, and we know we need to earn our place in the top six. It's not going to be easy, but I think, like I said, we're in a good place, and we're ready to take the next level of where we're at as a club, and that's a further up the top end of the table.
Well, that's the view from Hull KR, but we're going to jump across the city, and that's what this man has done as well, Tony Smith. Tony, why have you taken a job then?
Because I was unemployed. When you feed your family and pay mortgages, and I'm a professional coach, so opportunity arose. I was out of work from Hull KR. I finished, it's the first time I've ever finished early, finished the season early, meaning sacked. So that in itself was something, a bit different for me to having to handle, and I was looking around and wasn't sure what the next job was going to be. So it was a bit of a tough time, really. You never know if the phone's going to ring or not, or somebody's going to knock on your door, and so was out of work for a while, and then Adam approached me at the back end of the year, last game of the year, and asked me would I have any interest. And I bit his hand off because it was a job that I've seen there before, and I think it's a big one. It's a big club, potentially a big club, and there's a great support. Having lived in the city as well, and still living in the city, I was in rented accommodation. It couldn't have worked out better.
Hull have won Challenge Cups, obviously runner-up in 2006. Do you feel like you're at the club of a sleeping giant?
Well, that keeps being said. What I will tell you, having lived there, it's a huge club in terms of support. There's a lot of desire there. There's a lot of people who want it to be successful. The best way to explain it, if you walk down the street, if you drive down the street, if you jump on a bike, you won't have to go far to see somebody wearing black and white. Seriously, it's a well-supported club. There's a great desire for the club to do well, but it just hasn't. It's had bits and bobs, as you say. The Challenge Cup, they're not to be sneezed at, but I think there's a real strong desire for Hull to be up there, FC to be up there as one of the big four, and I think people from the outside probably expect that. Certainly people from the inside would like that to happen. That's a hard thing to do.
I must admit, Tony, I've always thought of Hull FC as one of them big clubs. I've always thought a massive underachiever from growing up as as a kid watching the game and the history of Hull FC. And as you say, you get them bits of Challenge Cup wins, you get that odd appearance in a grand final, but never that consistency of success. I think it's exciting times, and you said it on the stage, that people want to see both teams in Hull, for the city, and certainly to compete with the football as well.
Absolutely.
A real strong. Certainly, the derby games are electric. I've been to quite a few of the derby games at Magic Weekend as well, and you see the rivalry. It must be really, really exciting times, having been on the other side of the fence.
It is, but it isn't just the derbies. That's important, and it's good to have derbies within the leagues. And the argument about whether it's Saints Wigan is the biggest one, and it used to be when I first came, Leeds Bradford, is that the biggest one? And there is probably as much passion in the KR and FC one as I've seen anywhere, but which is healthy, it's good. But we need both teams in that part of the world to be strong in rugby league. It's always been a rugby league city. Having lived there, there's a lot of football too now. And I'm I think we've all got a responsibility to make our areas thrive, produce young players, produce good rugby league, attractive rugby league that young people want to aspire to become. Every club needs to do that. But I'm taking our area very seriously, and we need to play a certain brand where people want to come and play for FC.
Is that the biggest change that you'll implement? Is the brand of rugby? Is it
some of that?
Is it off field? Is it environment, culture?
Yeah, all that. And I've got to adapt to what they've got there, and I've, as well as work out what I can enhance as well. For sure, I love all that, the culture side of things, and and it's not just for the time that I'm there, it's for hopefully for years to come. And that's, you know, I'm going to say it, that's what Saints have been so good at for so long, producing their own young players, having the right sort of culture. That's been going on for years. You know, I refer back to Daniel Anderson's time when I was at early doors over here. He's had some influence right through that has kept going. That's how it should be. You know, even when the coach moves on, that culture continues to be strong, both in terms of performance but production line too. And it's important for all of us to leave that legacy.
Final question, Tony. You've won grand finals. You know what it's all about. At the end of this season, what will make you smile?
If we're respected and competed in each and every match, you know, and restored the pride in this badge, both where our supporters and our fans are proud of what we've done. That'll make me proudest, as well as my players saying, "Hey, coach, you helped me get better." And that's my job. My job is to help my players get better. If they get better, the byproduct of that is we might win some matches along the way, you know, and that builds confidence and people want to keep on improving. And it's got to be enjoyable also, you know. I'm not going to be flogging them to death and hitting them with whips and driving them into being better. People have got to want to be better. They've got to want to get better and want to be strong and be at the top end of the competition when it gets tough and there's some sacrifices to make to get there. So we just want to restore the pride in our badge.
Well, Tony, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the new job. Right, we're going to turn our attention now to the Huddersfield Giants and have signed a very familiar face.
Very excited to come back to the Super League. Been away in Australia in a year with the Sydney Roosters, so I think coming back the second time around, it's good that it's not completely foreign to me, my wife and my daughter. My wife was here with me the past couple of 3 years, and my daughter was born here while I was doing my trade at St Helens. So to come back in a different team, just with new goals, new aspirations, it's very exciting.
The last time we saw you play on these shores, of course, was a grand final win, a Harry Sunderland Trophy win. Those fond memories must have played a part in you wanting to come back and have another go. Yeah, for sure. Being in such a great team in St Helens and to accomplish the things that we did definitely made rugby league have a special place in my heart over here. And being at Old Trafford a few times, you know, there's nothing quite like it. And coming back here in a new team, there's goals that we want to set out to achieve, and hopefully being in Old Trafford at the end of the year is one of them. You're joining the Huddersfield team that will be a different challenge, a team that's looking to establish itself back at the top of Super League and challenging for titles. Can your experience of winning things over here help?
Hopefully, that's what I want to do, is add value to this team, and with the experiences that I've had, I'm hoping to share them with the team and add value in achieving the goals they want to achieve, and climbing up that ladder. And you know, with Wigan and St Helens, they've always been probably the two top teams of the competition. And with our team in Huddersfield Giants, we obviously want to challenge them and hopefully push for spots higher up the table.
Scully, let's talk a bit about Huddersfield. You obviously know Kevin Agama from St Helens, brings loads of experience to Huddersfield.
He does, you know, he brings a lot of experience both from the NRL and being successful at Saints. You know, he's a great person, you know, what he'll bring to the group as well. And, you know, I think Huddersfield this year, on the back of a strong 2022, obviously Ian Watson's a couple of years into the job now, you know, really found his feet, found his signings he wants, made some big signings this year. I think they're a team to watch.
They were unlucky in a Challenge Cup. It was late on, they lost that. But then in that eliminator against Salford, they didn't turn up, did they?
No, they didn't, you know, and I think that's something that they'll learn from is them that big game experience. You know, I think Huddersfield will fancy themselves to be in and around, you know, the semi-finals and finals this year, and I'm sure it's certainly something that Ian Watson's focused on. So I think you'll see a better Huddersfield through them experiences, but definitely disappointing last year, you know, how they bowed out.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by another very, very special guest, because as we said early on, we're not just launching the Betfred Men's Super League, we're launching the women's and the wheelchair as well. I'm delighted to be joined by Anna Davis from Wigan. Anna, thanks very much.
No,
Look,
thank you
isn't
for
it
having me.
brilliant that we're launching the women's game and the wheelchair game as well?
Yeah,
it's about time we did these together,
yeah,
isn't
and
it?
it's absolutely fantastic. And like Caitlin said, it's it's all part of that journey, and this is one of those big steps in the right direction. And yeah, for us to be here, it's really exciting. So thank you.
So come on, tell us about your journey, because you didn't start in rugby league, did
No,
you? You
not
started
at
in the
all.
other code.
Well, but taking it even
Are we allowed
further
to talk about
back,
the other code? Go on,
Am
then,
I
tell us
allowed
about your journey
no,
to rugby
taking it
league.
even further back, I did athletics for years, and when I was 17, sustained a stress fracture in my foot. So I had about 5 years off with different surgeries. But hurdles in athletics was what I'd wanted to do. But when the doctor said I was given the all clear to go again, I must have been about 23 by then. I decided I'd take up rugby union because I was in Bath at the time, and I had lots of friends who were playing for the club, and I'd gotten into the sport as I'd gone to uni there. So I played 2 years there. Got selected for GB Teachers Rugby League during that time via like Facebook posts, but also my coach there was from Warrington, so a massive rugby league fan. And after a couple of games with the teachers, the head coach at the time, John Wall, he was assistant coach at Wigan, and he said, you can come up and play for us if you like. And to be honest, I didn't really know what he'd offered me. But as I looked into it more and learnt more of the history, and also as I spoke to my coach back in Bath, I realised kind of what an opportunity he'd offered me, and that chance to play sort of, well, for me at the time it was any kind of rugby at a higher level and push that professionalism I was excited for. But also as a back, like I'd fallen in love with rugby league the first game I played, just because of the amount of work that you can come in and do, and yeah, just.
So you're pleased you made a switch?
Yes, definitely.
So come on then, what can Wigan do? So obviously St Helens won the
Yeah.
Challenge Cup last year. Leeds won the grand final.
Definitely.
So
And York League leaders, obviously.
Yeah.
So you've got that sort of top three, and we were solidly fourth last year. And
So can you
closing
break into that
back-
top three then?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the exciting thing about Wigan is we've got a fantastic academy set up with scholars attached to it now. So we've got a good group of youngsters coming through who are a bit of an unknown quantity, really. So I think that kind of speed and athleticism and excitement that they bring will be maybe like our secret weapon, I suppose, next year. So that, for me as a player, is the most exciting thing, seeing these youngsters coming through and embedding themselves in that part of the team. So looking forward to kind of getting our first run out and seeing what we can offer.
And we're here to launch for Super League, but the Challenge Cup final for women's is going to be at Wembley as well on the same day.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, and what an occasion and excitement for the girls, and a motivation to put the work in to be one of those teams who's in that final.
And as a final question, we've obviously on the back of the World Cup, and we had a brilliant final between New Zealand and Australia. Unfortunately, England going out in the semi-final. Do you feel like you're the beginning of something that's now growing and only going to get bigger and bigger?
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, as a slightly older player, maybe not to the game, but just in life, I think the excitement is laying that foundation, hopefully for the girls coming through, where professional contracts and things are probably going to be a real possibility for them. So I think that's the excitement for me, is seeing things changing slowly and coming. Hopefully we do it in the right way. We don't want to rush it and bring it in so quick that we can't cope, but bring it in the right way, and then setting that foundation for the younger players to come through and actually make a proper career out of it. So.
Well, Anna, thanks very much
thank
for
you.
joining us. We're just going to go down the road slightly. They've got a new name. It's for Leigh Leopards. They've got plenty of new signings. Let's say from one of them is a familiar face in the Super League. It's Zach Hardacre.
We've got quite a number of new lads that's been added to the squad from last year, and it's been good. We've tried to do as much as possible as a squad, as a team, to get to know each other, and whether it's socials or training, we've gave it a good crack. And the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of just before Christmas, we've done quite a lot of good stuff. So yeah, obviously after Christmas we just trained this morning. Bit of conditioning to get the Christmas pudding sweated off and stuff like that. But so far so good, mate. Yeah, it's can't complain.
Leigh, without a doubt, the most talked about team in this pre-season, of the rebrand, the change in the name and all of that kind of thing. But now that you're kind of back into pre-season and into the churn, if you like, does it kind of feel like all of that's kind of been put to one side and you're just focusing on rugby league?
Yeah, obviously, there's quite a lot of talk about the rebranding and then the kits and stuff like that. I know Derek's quite big on Twitter, and he's open on Twitter. He really enjoys the back and forth, and you know, the thing is, the more people speak about it, the better for Leigh. So on that bit, it's been quite funny to just watching what's been going on. But obviously, us training, that's the tough bit. And yeah, like I say, we've been training really hard and just getting on with our training schedules and just, you know, getting to know each other, like I said earlier. And yeah, we're just looking forward to this season. It's going to be a tough one. You know, Derek, being the owner, is really excited about the prospect of being back in Super League, and he wants to stay there, wants the club to continue something for not just for next year and 2 years. It's a long process for Derek. I think he's said that in a few interviews. So you know, us boys have just signed. You know, we're really keen to do what we can for the club and for the team, and see what, you know, this year brings. It's going to be exciting, and you know, we're all looking forward to it.
So Leigh's first game of the season is against Salford, and I'm delighted to be joined by the man of steel, Brodie Croft. Brodie, first of all, huge news this week, an 8-year contract. How have you managed that?
Yeah, manager got me a beauty. No, it come up probably a couple of months ago, the first initial talks of it. And to be honest, I was a bit caught off guard with it. I was like, oh, don't know about that. But then once my manager started talking, and I talked to my family and the stability that it provides. My young family, got 2 kids now, 2 under 2, partner there at home, and yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence as well, knowing the club believe in me like this, and I believe in the club in the direction that it's going. I mean, everyone says they like the direction the club's going, but I truly believe in this group that we have. It's a special group to be a part of, and yeah, I'm blessed that I can be signing a contract like this.
We'll talk about Salford and the team and Paul in a moment, but let's just talk about being man of steel. How proud was that at the moment?
Yeah, it was truly humbling, and I'm honoured to receive an award like that, and then to top it off as well, that night my mum and dad were there as well, so I had my partner Safina and my mum and dad there, who just happened to be over from Australia at that time of year. So to have them there and to receive an award like that, I mean, you don't play for accolades like that, but to get recognition like that, and to have my family there was truly special, and yeah, something that I'm really proud of.
And Scully, it was much deserved last year, wasn't it?
It was very well deserved. You know, I had the pleasure of presenting Brodie, you know, along with Lindsay Prescott, the award, and you know, I had an outstanding season and truly well deserved. And you know, I think you talk about the 8-year contract for Brodie. Obviously, it's fantastic for him, and for Salford, who have been, you know, you've seen the transformation over, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. What Ian Blease has done, you know, a great job there, along with Paul Rowley. I think for Super League as well, to have obviously yourself signed up in Super League for the next 8 years is massive for the game as a whole.
Who's the only man to win the Man of Steel 2 years and a bounce? Do you know?
Not sure.
It's this gentleman, Brodie. Are you on the panel this year?
I am. Sorry, Paul. Sorry, mate. That's no points for Brodie Croft.
Right, let's talk about Salford. You just seem to fit in straight away.
Yeah, they really welcomed me with open arms from day one. I mean, we're not the biggest club, that's for sure, but I feel like we've got the biggest heart, from the players to the coaches, the performance staff, the backroom staff. Yeah, it's a joy to go to work every day there, and it's a real good group of people to be around. So. I mean, I've copped a bit of stick the last couple of days once this announcement's come out, but I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
People asking to borrow money off you.
Yeah, apparently I'm mowing coffees for the next 8 years or something like that.
But unfortunately, you ended up missing the semi-final last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
And Salford took St Helens all the way.
Yeah, it was gut-wrenching. The Huddersfield game at half-time, when I got told that I'd failed the HIL. They didn't even put me through it because of what happened on field. They just ruled me out then and there, and from that moment I knew that meant I couldn't play the next week. And yeah, I was shattered. My mum and dad in the sheds there with me, and I remember bursting out tears. I mean, to come so far in the season that we had and to not get a chance to play in that game against Saints killed me. But in saying that, I mean, our preparation all that week leading into the Saints was spot on, and from our coaching staffs, the structure they put in place and the group of boys that we have, I knew that we could still get the job done, and I couldn't be more proud of the effort that the boys put in. And yeah, to come so close hurt, But yeah, certainly it fuels the fire for this season.
And Scully, obviously, St Helens, could regard as lucky. I mean, Andy Ackers went off as well, didn't you? After
yeah, I mean, you're losing two key players. Obviously, Brody not playing was a massive loss for Salford, and a lot of the responsibility then goes on to Andy Ackers, obviously from dummy half. To lose him, you know, two key indicators for the Salford team, but to still only, you know, run Saints so close, who were obviously clear favourites going into that game. What's been the focus, Brody, over pre-season to try and take Salford that one better?
Certainly to build on what we did last year, but we've got to understand that we've got to start the journey. Everyone's starting from scratch again this season, so we've got to start our own journey. And defensively, every team understands that defence is essentially what wins your comp. So you can attack all you want, but if you're leaking points, you're going to struggle in matches. So we've been working really hard on our defence, and so hopefully we can improve on that this year, and then hopefully our attack can keep flowing like it does, and we can do some big things.
Final question, and what can Salford do this year then?
I mean,
being in a grand final, being in a Challenge Cup final, can I go that next level?
You'd be silly not to.
Is that why you've signed?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have signed if I don't believe in this group and what we're capable of doing. So, I mean, yeah, everyone's setting out from the start of the season to win silverware, and we're certainly no different. And like I said, I've got the full belief in this group and the coaching staff and where this club's going, that, yeah, we can do something special.
Well, Brody, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the new contract as well, and good luck for the season.
Thanks very much.
All the best, Brody.
Well, let's hear from a former man of steel. He's at the Castleford Tigers. He's their skipper, Paul McShane.
Fair to say you'd have been disappointed, especially with how last season ended. Did that kind of leave a real hunger to get going again quickly and put things right?
Yeah, very disappointed, especially after how hard we worked in season. You know, we got off to a slow start, and then we kind of found some form, and we give us a chance of making playoffs, and falling short how we did. I know we had some key players missing, but I thought we had a great chance to get in there.
That said, you must have felt last season you showed enough, you know, glimpses of what you can do to be confident that you can progress this season and have a real crack.
Yeah, 100%, and I think we've added some real experience in there as well. So hopefully that can help us, you know, in the bigger games and in the tighter games.
And you know, brand new season, a lot of the usual suspects in there. Leigh coming in looked like probably the most competitive newly promoted side for a long time. Must be expecting this to just be another really tough instalment of the Betfred Super League.
Yeah, 100%. Leigh signed well. I think Hull have signed great in the spine as well. You know, probably you can't take any game for granted. You've got to be at your best, and hopefully we can push to be a playoff side this year.
Some changes to the team, Gareth Widdop coming into the spine being one of them. Has that worked well for you as a combination 9 into the house?
Pardon?
The spine, the way that it's looking, Gareth
Widdop
coming in, how's that working for you playing at 9?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely benefit my game. It's, you know, we've lost Chewy, who was a great player for us, but for us now we've had a bit of experience, and I think that's definitely going to benefit us. And you know, with Milky and Gaz, they've played at a good standard for a long time. So yeah, it should definitely make my job easier.
Paul McShane there talking to Lewis, and of course Darryl Powell knows all about Paul McShane, but he's now the Warrington coach. We'll talk about Warrington in a moment, but a quick one, Scully. Castleford just missed out in the playoffs. They were a couple of minutes away, weren't they, against Leeds from actually getting in the playoffs. So Lee Radford will be desperate to finish the top 6 this year.
It certainly will be, as you say. You know, they had a strong finish to the back end of the year, probably overachieved in nearly making the playoffs. You know, they had an horrendous run throughout the year. I was talking to Macca before about, you know, the injuries that they suffered, you know, which it resulted in him playing most of the season in the halves. So a big year for Cass, and obviously some experience this year in Gareth Widdop and Milky from Wakefield.
Darryl, good to see you. How's pre-season been at Warrington?
Yeah, it's been class, been tough, as pre-seasons are. Focused a lot on defence this year, you usually do, but I think we've tipped the scales a little bit more towards defence than we have done in the past. So yeah, excited. You got a lot of new recruits, a lot of experienced players, a couple of Australian internationals that have been right at the top level. So yeah, we're excited, looking forward to it.
You looked at your pack, haven't you, for new signings?
Yeah, there's no secret really. I felt like the pack needed to be changed a little bit. It needed some size in there. People like Sam Cassiano who actually ran over me in training the other week, so that was interesting.
Did it hurt?
And Paul Vaughan's, he's a real big dude, lots of skills, great defender. Gil Dudson, we've signed heavily in the pack. Josh Maguire obviously, so. We feel like we've got a pack that can compete, that can get after teams, that can look the opposition team in the eye and say, here we come, and that's what we think we've got. Ultimately it's about what you do on the grass, isn't it? And we've got a big challenge ahead of us, we know that. It's about going week to week, starting with Leeds and getting after it.
Have you done your debrief from last season? Have you moved on?
We burnt everything and kicked it out to sea and start again. And everybody today's asked me about 2022, and I've never met anybody yet that can change history, so it's pointless really. It's about what we do now. Like I say, we just alluded to it, recruited really well, and it's about getting into the season and forgetting anything that's gone in the past, because it can't help you. So 23 is a big year for me personally, for the club, for a lot of individual players who've got a massive amount of motivation, and ultimately that's what helps you to do things, and the motivation to do special things for Warrington, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to the challenge.
What was the feedback on weekend's game? Obviously, I was talking to you before the game.
Yeah, tough game, and I'd have to say Leigh look like they'll be strong. I mean, obviously depth-wise, not 100%, but in terms of their attitude, the players that they've got, the commitment to it, they bashed us early on. And talking to our boys who were still sore yesterday, that was a tough game. It was a proper Super League game, which is what we needed. We only had one prep game, so I wanted our middles to have big minutes. I didn't want to be rotating them, which Leigh did a little bit. For me, it was about big minutes for middles, get our combinations right, and then we look forward to 2 weeks.
Thought Vaughan looked good.
Yeah,
he's big, strong.
He's big, takes some handling. Yeah, his work rate is 22 carries for a middle. That's pretty impressive, and he defends well, he moves well. He was great. Sam Cassiano picked up a little bit of an injury, but he had an impact on the game. His size and his physicality, his offloads. He pulls people in close to try line, difficult to deal with. I thought Josh Maguire was really strong. You're looking at our new players, and Gil was just, he does what he does. He's industrious. He gets around. He cleans up all the little bits. And then he's broken his hand, so he's going to be missing for a bit. But for me, I looked at it and thought, I thought we defended great. We're really aggressive. We made too many errors in the first half. Once we tidied that up in tough conditions, I thought it was a really pleasing performance. Loads to work on, like there always is, but I was pleased with it.
You think Josh Drinkwater will be a great addition for George as well?
Yeah, I mean George run 260 odd metres the other day, so George does what George does. Then he's a
runner, isn't he? George's biggest strength is attacking. He's attacking that line, and obviously somebody like Josh who can pick up a lot of the directional stuff, and obviously got a great kicking game.
Yeah, can
only benefit.
Yeah, and half-back's all about balance, isn't it? Yeah. It's all about balance. You have two runners, it doesn't quite work. You have two organisers, don't quite work. So it's getting that balance right. And I think we've got that. Drinky's a real good organiser, understands the game. He's embedded in it. He's a rugby head. He absolutely loves it. And so he'll do all that for George that frees him up. But George has improved significantly. I mean, in terms of leadership, for example, he was the most voted for in our leadership group this year by his peers. So that always, it tells you that he's growing as an individual who can organise as well as run. But I think the balance is good. Drinky organises a little bit more, and George does what George does. And if he does that, then you take some dealing with it. He was great last week, I thought. Yeah.
Final question for you, Darryl, probably the toughest question as well. What is success for Warrington this year?
Well, look, the one thing I want to shove up, but I'll stop people singing, is it's always your year. You know what I mean? I want to give that to the fans. Look, I go into every year, and people always ask me this, what do you start out looking for at the start of every year? At Castle, I wanted to win everything. That's the way I am. The same when I was at Leeds years ago, at Featherstone, at Warrington. Look, I think we've got a team that's capable of winning things. You want to be in the shooting match for every competition. That's what Saints will be saying this year. They want to win everything. That's what they say. Why won't we say the same thing? We want to be winners. That's what it's all about. and that's what I'll be saying. I'm not going to go shouting from the rooftops about any of that. But I think we've got a team that's capable of winning things, and we have to get after that this year and prove what we're about.
Darryl, thanks for joining us. Good
Pleasure.
luck for the season.
Thank you.
Right, our friends at The Sportsman will be streaming 20 games this year across the Division 1, the Men's Challenge Cup, the Women's Challenge Cup, the wheelchair game as well. Plus we'll have our weekly show, The Last Tackle.
You're watching The Sportsman Rugby League, the home of Betfred Super League Online.
Tune in to Last Tackle every Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
So check out those live games and the weekly magazine show, The Last Tackle on The Sportsman. Right, it's been a great launch here at the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. I'm delighted to welcome to the show the Managing Director of Rugby League Commercial, Rhodri Jones. Rhodri, thanks for joining us. Do you know what? I've said this to a couple of guests. It's great we've been able to launch the men's, the women's and the wheelchair game today, isn't it?
Oh, great. And I was just saying myself to someone earlier, this is actually one of my favourite days of the season. Everyone comes with optimism, hope, and just a longing for getting back onto the field. And to be able to do it with 3 competitions this year for the first time is really special, off the back of the legacy of the World Cup. And we've got so much to look forward to this year.
And we won't bore people with the Super League and the RFL all coming back together, but a lot of work is going on behind the scenes, isn't it, to grow the game?
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done in the last 12 months and there's a lot more work to come as well. I guess the key point in that is the IMG relationship for the next 12 years. So this isn't, a short piece of work, this is a long-term piece of work and a long piece of strategy. With roads leading into 2023 and 2024 as well. So there's plenty to be getting on with. It's exciting though, and we can't wait for the season to start next Thursday.
And who's going to win the Betfred Men's Super League then?
Oh,
you're not allowed to say.
I can't. No, I can't say. I like going to matches, wherever they are. I can't wait for Thursday night Warrington. Leigh will be totally different on Friday night, and a sellout at Hull KR on Saturday, and fingers crossed St Helens do the World Club Challenge on Saturday morning for us.
I can ask him. Pointless question then. Who's going to win the Men's Super League?
I think Saints are favourite, and it's unsurprisingly, that's why you're teaming up for that, Matt. But I just think it could be one of the closest years yet, and I agree with Rhodri, being here today and seeing everyone and the enthusiasm to get back out there. There's been a lot of changes through the playing rosters, within Super League, and I think there's some real talking points. So really, just looking forward to that first ball's kicked and get the season underway.
It's our 7th season here at Betfred, so not quite as long as a Brodie Croft contract yet, but thanks to your team, great to work with. Been a brilliant launch. Thanks for joining us, Rhodri. Scully, thanks for your company, and you can be with us throughout the season as well.
Brilliant.
Certainly are. Right then, please, if you are going to have a bet on the Rugby League, keep it fun and gamble responsibly. That is what we're all about. So we're about to embark on a few months of fantastic rugby. Stay classy, Rugby League.